This piece is Zwischenberg und Tiefenthal. It's an anonymous piece, and it's another piece that just rests on having two voices. There's just a melody and a bass line, so it's another really good opportunity to bring out your thumb. Tip number 1 is just at the start of the piece, you've got 2 entries of 2 voices. You've got the first voice, and in the third bar you've suddenly got the entry of the bass line. See how that repeats it almost sort of fugally. So it's worth just bringing those both out and hearing them separately. So maybe play them to yourself independently before you play them together. Tip number 2 is just sometimes you need to imagine the melody voice overhanging, and the same with the bass quite often as well, but you need to imagine it overhanging a bass, a bar line, or the movement in one of the other parts. So a good example of this is bar 4. Just the last beat of the bar in the treble, the D, needs to move onto the C in the next bar because it's part of that line. Sometimes it doesn't really look like they are associated, but if we have a listen, this is bar 3. You see, if I don't make any effort to hold on to that, if I don't make any effort to hold on to that D, it's not going to sound connected to the second half of the phrase. Do you hear how there it overhung a little bit? And it's worth just having a look at, there are many places in this piece where that happens. It's worth having a look at each of them and maybe drawing lines. I really like to draw lines between them just to illustrate to my eyes when I'm looking at the piece how those voices sort of flex between each other and where you need to hold on to them. Another really good example is 20 into 21. There's the same sort of thing happening there. I'll try that again. You can hear there how the treble, what is the treble line, even though it's quite low, pulls between over the bar line and into the next bar and really connects that phrase together. So it happens all over the piece. Give it a go. My third tip is just that in the second half of this piece it all gets kind of low. The melody sits fairly low and fairly close to the bass line. So it's worth just thinking about how you go about plucking those strings together, because sometimes when you get down into the depths of the lute it can get a little bit murky. So when you're playing these chords that are fairly close together, make sure you're getting a full sound, and I do that just by moving slightly closer to the bridge, to be honest, and you get a little bit more tension in the strings, and you want to bring out the high harmonics in those bass notes. So just making sure that when you're playing the strings, you're pushing down on both strings in a course, and your fingers aren't getting in the way of each other, whether you're playing thumb out or thumb inside. Maybe just play through some of the chords for yourself so that you can make sure that you're hearing both voices, and perhaps both voices equally, depending on where they are in their independent phrases. So I hope you enjoy this piece, and let me know how you get on in the comments.